It is time to talk Madam Webb. The movie stars Dakota Johnson as Cassie Webb, a paramedic in Manhattan who gains the power to see the future. That power reveals that the lives of 3 young women are at risk, so Cassie sets out to do what she can to save them from the threat. As I think many were expecting, Madam Webb is, it's not great. There are a bunch of clunky lines of dialogue. There are plot points that are super convoluted. Other ones where I felt like I could poke holes in their logic. And then also, there is an overabundance of web-like curtains in this movie that are just not nearly as clever as I think the filmmakers thought they were. But, and I have no problem admitting this because it's my opinion and this is my review, I actually kind of enjoyed myself watching this movie, and I think I enjoyed myself for 2 main reasons. One, an intentional reason, and then another, not so much. The first one is the chemistry between Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, and Isabela Merced. Give me a decent found family story any day. I dug their vibe together. I often found their banter pretty amusing. And also it did hit a point where I think that I was emotionally attached to them as a group enough to get me to root for them. One other performance note I'll make right here before moving on to that second thing that I teased. I thought that Dakota Johnson's energy and deadpan delivery served a number of scenes in this movie quite well. And yes, there were a bunch of laugh out loud moments where I don't think that was the reaction the filmmakers wanted me to have, but there are some scenes in the movie that are genuinely funny, and I think it's abundantly clear that they get funnier because they are in her hands. In fact, I do think Johnson is a big part of the reason why I was actually kind of charmed and amused by the fact that the movie feels a bit dated and cheesy, in particular when it comes to the dialogue. So now on to that second thing I teased earlier. I actually loved Madam Webb's Final Destination vibes. I know it was something that many were poking fun at after the trailer was released, but in the context of the finished film, I have to be honest, I was utterly delighted by the similarities, and there are many of them. Also, pretty sure that most, if not all, were entirely unintentional, so this hardcore Final Destination fan absolutely had a blast with that. In my dream world, the big twist at the end of Madam Webb would have been it's not a Marvel movie after all, but a brand new installment of the Final Destination franchise. It's tough to score a movie like this because I think it's very clear that Madam Webb is absolutely riddled with problems, but a big factor when choosing a score at the end of a review for me is how much did I enjoy sitting through the movie. And in this particular case, clearly there was some enjoyment there, whether that enjoyment was intended or not. So I do have to teeter the teeniest, tiniest bit positive on Madam Webb and give the movie 2.5 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimovie scale. Again, there are a whole bunch of elements of this production that are either subpar or plain old do not work. But I did enjoy seeing the main characters come together, and of course, I had a good deal of fun with the Final Destination vibes.